I know we always talk about the mother-in-laws from hell, but I don't think we talk enough about the sister-in-laws. So this is specifically for those of the girlies. Today, yes, we're going to leave our guys out. Sorry, y'all. Love y'all. I'll see y'all in the next episode. But for my girlies that have the husband with the sister that can't let go, or the boyfriend with the sister that can't let go, this conversation is going to be for y'all today. I feel like personally it's not talked about enough, and I've dealt with it myself a few times. And I think that I'm not even going to say we don't always notice it. I want to say that we try to give them grace because, okay, this is a person I care about, and I know that they genuinely care about their sister or sisters. It's even worse if there's multiple, and I understand the ones, they want to be protective and all of that, but we're talking about those relationships where they're damn near like, they look at their brother almost like another father to them, or some of them, they have every feeling towards their brother outside of, an intimate feeling. Like nobody's ever good enough for them, that kind of stuff. And I know for myself, I've dealt with it in a way where it was passive. So it was one of those things where like I knew that the person had an issue, but they did it in such a sneaky way that nobody ever really caught on to what that person was doing. So if you've never been felt seen before, baby, I'm gonna make sure you feel seen, okay? So, excuse me. The term is called enmeshed. Okay, so this is an enmeshed family dynamic. And it can look a lot of different ways, but for those of you that have dealt with the mama's boys, or like I said, the brothers that just have these overbearing sisters, or this oddly jealous thing where you just come in and they automatically don't like you, this is what we're getting into today. So if you felt like your partner's sister has seen you as competition, or she's super critical of you, or she tries to undermine your relationship, you're not alone. I used to feel like I had an ex whose sister was just nasty. Like I would speak to her, she wouldn't speak back to me. She would like ask to spend the night at our house, and this is not a child, this is a grown woman. If me and him had a disagreement, all of a sudden she didn't like me again. It was weird. Like, or she would get close to me, and then when I would think that we were cool, she would back off. The whole thing was just weird. And then like when we broke up, it very much gave the energy of like, I never liked you in the first place. But if you asked her what I had done to her, she couldn't give you a reason. She just dead ass couldn't give you a reason. And then would still tell him like, oh, she was so good for you, I liked her for you. Like, it was weird. The mom was the same, but that's another story for another day. When you're thrown into an enmeshed family dynamic, the boundaries are blurred, family members are way too involved in each other's lives, and it can feel like you're in a never-ending battle for respect and space. And let me tell you, that's exactly how I felt. Like, me and this ex, we lived together for a period of time, and I felt like every weekend I had to deal with these people. Like, every weekend they were at my house. Like I said, I just don't feel like the respect was there. I don't feel like the respect for space was there. I can remember, like, I could tell him, like, oh, let's go to the zoo. And he'd be like, okay, yeah, what day you want to go? And I'd be like, oh, we'll go this and this day. And then they would show up. And I'd be like, oh, I thought we were going to the zoo. Oh, well, they wanted to come too, so I just figured, like, they should come with us. Like, even looking back at it now at the same time too, I was in a space where I didn't really, I didn't understand how to set boundaries. Because me now, like, I would never allow such behavior, but I was so overwhelmed. It was just too much. Like, and they played a big part in why I decided to leave the relationship, because it just became way too much. So I want to get into why this happens, suggestions on how to handle it, and how to protect your peace. So let's talk about if you don't know, because sometimes there are subtle signs, or if you're wondering like, oh, I think that's what's happening to me, because sometimes you just need that validation. Like sometimes we'll know what's going on, but you don't want to be cynical, or you don't want to be judgmental of somebody, right? So you don't want to be like, oh, you know what? I knew she was this, and this, and this. But I'm here to validate it for you. So here are some common signs. Number one, she's usually overly competitive. So she's always trying to one-up you, if she can. This doesn't really happen much with like the little sisters, but I notice this with the older sisters, because they may be in a different tax bracket, especially when you're younger. They might be in a position where they're making a little bit more money than you, things like that. She criticizes you, sometimes subtly, sometimes outright. I was never like to my face criticized. But I could just tell by her behavior that she had a lot to say about me when I wasn't around. And another thing that what happened was, if me and him had a disagreement, he'd pick up the phone and call her to see if he was wrong. So now you're giving her ammo to talk about me, about. She acts possessive over your partner as if she's in competition with you. This was one of the big things, like big things. Like almost as if she acted like I was trying to take her brother from her, is what it came down to. She tries to create tension between you and other family members. She would do that in my case. This specific sister-in-law or partner sister that I'm speaking on would do that with their mother. So like when it was just me and the mom, everything was cool. But then when it was them two, you could just notice that the energy was different. She downplays your achievements, your relationship, or place in the family. I didn't experience this directly, but I will say that like there was a huge lack of respect. Like the respect was not there. It was like if he set a boundary, she would respect his boundary. But like if I was just like, hey, like, she comes in my house and she doesn't talk, she doesn't speak. What she would do is she was very sneaky about it. So like she wouldn't say hello, but like let's say I'm sitting in a room or something. She would go to the bathroom. You had to walk towards the direction of our room for her to go to the bathroom. And so he would assume that she was coming back to tell me hi, but she would never come to say hi. So it was like little passive aggressive things like that. And so if this sounds familiar to you, you're definitely dealing with a sister-in-law who feels threatened by your presence, whether she consciously knows it or sometimes subconsciously. Now, why does this happen? Usually in enmeshed families, boundaries don't exist. Everybody is in everybody's business. And so in these families, loyalty to the family is expected to come before anything else, including spouses. So if you've ever ran into those men that be like, oh, well, I don't care, my mom comes before everybody, you need to run. Because while I want you to honor your mother, or while I want you to honor your family members, like when you become married especially, or you're dating to marry, you got to switch that off. There's a whole renegotiation of the family dynamic at that point, right? Parents and siblings often have unhealthy emotional dependencies on each other. I've noticed that. A new spouse, or you, is seen as a threat to the family's closeness. I've definitely seen that. So if your sister-in-law is acting like your relationship is an invasion, it might be because she's been raised in a family where she's emotionally tied to your partner in a way that isn't healthy. And that was like my case. Like there was no like father in the home. And so he was the man of the family. And it showed. And so I think that when he and I had gotten together, they, instead of trying to like figure out, okay, well now you have her, like, what does that mean for us? I feel like they were just like, nope, danger. Like, oh, and she's nice. Oh yeah, no, he's really gonna like this one. Like, nope, we got to figure out a way to keep him from her, kind of thing. Like, because she'll take him away from us. Not understanding that, like, when you grow up in a more healthier family dynamic, that's not how that works. Like, you want time with your brother, girl, go spend time with your brother. I'm not trying to take your brother from you, right? So what do you do? Like, how do you navigate this situation without losing your damn mind? So me personally, like I said, like it just got too much for me. I couldn't do it. And then when I would express to him how I felt about it, he would dismiss it because he was just as enmeshed as they were. Like, anytime I brought up anything having to do with them, he would immediately get defensive. Immediately. And it was like they could do no wrong. And I feel like they played on that as well. So for me, I just had to leave the relationship. But if you want to try and work on this yourself, or if you have a partner that you feel like he's noticing what's happening as well and he's trying to get away from it, then I think you have a better chance than I did. So the first piece of advice that I would give is to not take it personally. Because at the end of the day, that has nothing to do with you. It's literally about like her own insecurities and family conditioning. So it may just be, her jealousy may be because she feels displaced, overlooked, or she's afraid of losing her bond with her brother. So recognizing this can help you detach emotionally from the drama. Because at the end of the day, like, especially if like your family's not like that, like, I would just get to a point where I'd be like, y'all can have this. I'm going somewhere else. So I'm talking about, it was so bad that like the family would come over and they were over so much that I would just go to my family's house. I would go find me something else to do. I'd go find something else to do when I knew like, okay, so every weekend they're going to be over here. Okay, so every weekend I found something to do. Whether it was going to get my nails done, going to the spa. And, yes, I look back at it now and it's like no one should have been able to run me from my house. But at the time, that's all I knew how to do to like protect myself and protect my peace. Set firm boundaries. So if she's constantly inserting herself into your relationship or making passive aggressive comments, set clear boundaries. So, for example, you could reply and say, I'd appreciate it if we kept our conversations positive. Or, we're focusing on our own decisions as a couple. Or, I respect your relationship with your brother, but I also need respect as their spouse. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not one to address people's family members. I feel like that's the job of the person that they're related to. So once again, this is something that I may not do, but I really just think that everything is on a case-by-case basis. It really just depends on, like, your relationship with them or your family, their family dynamic. So what I expect to do, and I did write this down as well, is let your partner handle it. So if your sister-in-law is crossing the line, it's on your partner to step up and reinforce those boundaries. And if they're from an enmeshed family, they may struggle with this, but it's necessary. And like I said, this is something that I dealt with. But a simple, firm message from them can go a long way. Like, I love, like, telling them, I love you, like, I love my sister, but I need you to respect my relationship. Or I need you to stop making comments about my partner. It's not okay. It doesn't have to be like this big old drawn out thing, but they do need to let it be known, like, your behavior is not it. And limit your interactions. Now, this is something that I did do. If she's toxic and she refuses to change, it's okay to distance yourself. You're not obligated to be her best friend. So keep the interactions polite but minimal and don't engage in her drama. So towards the end of the relationship, I just stopped talking. I just started to match her energy. So every time you get around me, I speak to you, but you don't speak to me. Okay, well then I'm not going to speak. I'm just going to act like you're like an inanimate object. So now you're a chair. That's how I started to deal with it until I left. Most importantly, protect your peace. So at the end of the day, you cannot control her behavior, but you can control your response. Don't give her the power to ruin your peace or your relationship. Focus on your own happiness and let go of the need for her approval. Once I really realized what the hell was going on, I don't got time to be trying to be friendly with you. Like, clearly, me and you is on two different wavelengths. We vibrate at two different frequencies. So, baby, you gonna do you. I'm gonna do me. Now, here's another thing to think about. What do you do if the entire family is enmeshed? Because that's what I was dealing with. So what if it's not just her? What if the entire family operates this way? Here's what you can do. Be a united front with your partner. If his family is trying to guilt trip or manipulate, he has to stand firm with you. Don't engage in guilt tactics. Enmeshed families thrive on guilt. Do not fall for it. You are not responsible for their emotional reactions. Create space for your own life. So prioritize your relationship and your own circle of support. Consider counseling. So if your partner struggles to detach from their family's control, therapy can definitely help them establish healthier boundaries. I noticed for myself with that relationship in particular that I've been referencing, I don't even think he understood until I started to speak up about it. And it was probably a reason why they had an issue with me as well, was because I started to tell him, like, hey, you do know that this is not okay. You do know that this behavior is not normal. Like, you do know that you are allowed to think for yourself. You are allowed to be your own person, yada, yada, yada. And he couldn't pull away from it all the way. Like, even when I left, he still had certain, like, I guess responsibilities that he felt like he had to them. But I don't think anybody's ever even brought it up. And then, another thing that we have to consider too, and it's really not our problem, but it can be cultural as well. It's I've learned, like, as a Black woman, it can be very cultural. There's a lot of us that make our sons the man of the house way before they're ready to, and before they've even earned that title. And so it causes this unhealthy attachment where they feel like when they leave the house that they've almost betrayed the people that they've left behind. So here are my final thoughts on the matter. This entire thing can be exhausting. For myself personally, I will never get into, I vowed to myself I would never get into another relationship with that type of dynamic ever again. But if you're in it and you feel like I said, it's something that you want to work for and fight for, just remember that you deserve respect, boundaries, and peace, and you do not have to prove your worth to anybody. And y'all know that is a theme on my channel here. If you're in this situation, stay strong, set your boundaries, and don't let toxic family dynamics steal your joy. Your relationship is about you and your partner, not anyone else. At the same time, it is your partner's responsibility to make sure that boundary is set, because you can talk until you're blue in the face. But if they don't see anything wrong with it, or they don't make it a problem to the people that are causing the issue or causing a divide, you're going to forever go through that. So just keep that in mind. But that is all I have for you all today. If this was helpful, if you could resonate, please share, please comment, let me know what your thoughts are. If you've dealt with this situation before, let me know about that too. What did you do? Did you stay? Did you leave? And I would appreciate it. If you're not already subscribed, if you would subscribe, leave me a comment, leave me a review, share with somebody that might need it. And until next time, protect your energy, boo, and stay unbothered. Thank y'all.